Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Hostel Discourse. Today we will be discussing the Masters, which happened this past Thursday through Sunday, as well as another fun debate question relating to sports and athleticism. We'll get to that later, but for right now, let me introduce our guests. We have Drake, our first-time guest.
Hi.
A friend from St. Louis and a fellow student here. And our former fellow hostel resident, Jacob Hunter, all the way from London, England. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And with us, as always, Jared and Joe.
Hey.
Yo.
What did you guys think of the Masters? It's a pretty crazy weekend. I don't usually watch golf, but I actually caught some of it, and I don't know, it was pretty interesting.
Well, it's a shame that you don't watch it every year. It's the greatest annual sporting event.
A debate for a different time.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. It's hard to watch the Masters in the UK because they won't let you stream anything unless you're in the States. The only thing I did see was the last probably 7 holes of Saturday, and then Jordan's last 13 holes on Sunday. And my mom and sister were here visiting me, and this was the last night we had together, and it almost ruined their whole trip. It was that terrible.
Yeah, I got plenty of your sad Jordan Spieth Snapchats after he lost.
Those are hilarious.
I can't imagine. I can't even imagine what someone like that, how someone goes through something like that.
So when did he fall apart?
The 12th hole. It's an infamous par 3. It looks like it's about 5 feet deep. It's not a very long hole. It has been the ruin of Masters competitors in the past, but it's probably never been this destructive to one person at one time.
Yeah, I feel like the hole is a tough hole, but Spieth's, I don't know, his performance on that hole on Sunday, it was just a bad performance. I don't think it was, like, there was definitely part of it was the hole. But I don't know if it was the nerves or something like that. But especially that second shot into the water.
He just chunked that shot so bad.
It was just a bad shot. And I think, 99 out of 100 times he won't do that again.
Well, it echoed back to the first year he played that hole. That's where he lost the lead the first time he played. He made a really intentional decision to not drop from the drop zone. Did you notice that? Mm-hmm. The drop zone is about 60 yards away, and he took it about 20 yards farther back.
He said afterwards. He said afterwards that was a mistake. That he probably should have dropped in the drop zone.
Yeah, that is interesting that he would make such a conscious mistake.
Were you at least proud of your fellow Englishman winning, Danny?
There is nothing worse than a Brit winning the Masters.
I thought you'd have some sympathy or pride in him winning because you're living.
No, it was really a worst case scenario.
All right.
That's kind of surprising that you said that you couldn't really get coverage there, like considering that it was an Englishman that won. Like, were people not that interested there? I mean, was there like a following or?
I was watching it in a bar on Sunday night. There were like 4 people other than my sister and mom and me paying attention.
That's surprising.
And then on Saturday night, we had to ask for them to play it. Part of it is because they don't start broadcasting it as soon as it starts, because the interesting pairings aren't till later on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty late. I've not even met any people from London that are really big into golf.
Drake, your brother was actually there on Sunday. Did he tell you any stories or anything?
Yeah, well, it's classic Cole, that's my brother. It's classic him to do this, but he told me that right before the ceremony of Spieth putting the jacket on Willett, Spieth was passing in, and he slapped Spieth on the back, which first of all is crazy. But then security came up and threatened him.
What?
So he was just like, never, ever will I do that again.
That's
He
awesome.
was that close to probably banned from the Masters. And he also said he slapped DeChambeau on the butt. I think that's hilarious.
That's my favorite.
But I mean, that's so him. He does it everywhere he goes. He does stupid things like that.
That's so
Oh
funny.
man,
Ugh.
DeChambeau.
Yeah. Yeah. He said the experience there was basically like Disney for golf. It was just insane, and I was always like, "Were you at hole 16 for those hole-in-ones or all those? Where were you?" And he said he just camped out at Ammon Corner and the 18th hole, and I was like, "How would you miss those?" He's just like, "You have no idea what's going on there because you're not allowed to bring in your phone. You don't see anything. All you can react is from the cheers of the crowds, and it's so packed that it's like if you move, you're not going to get a good spot. So you might as well just stay where you are if you have a good spot," which he did. So
they take away everybody's phones.
yeah,
No
you have to
picture?
leave them at the front.
Can you bring in a camera or anything?
Mm-mm.
That's insane.
You can't
Wow.
bring
It's-
anything like that.
Yeah, it's like stepping back in time. There's no electronic scoreboards. Everything's manual.
Yep.
It's pretty much exactly how it was in 1934 when I first had it.
That's crazy.
It's just like the most dramatic thing. It made me wonder if whatever committee it was that first put on the Masters knew how potentially insane it could be for someone to have to give up the jacket in the ceremony at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. That was real rough.
What do you mean, give up the jacket?
Well, the previous champion puts the jacket on the new champion. So
Spieth
Jordan
put it on with
Spieth actually had to hold the jacket for Danny Willett and
That's
put
hilarious.
it on him.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, Jordan Spieth gets to keep a green jacket, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has it from last year.
Okay.
They all
Mhm.
have their own, but
Yeah.
But still sad though.
Yeah, just
That'd be hard, especially when you're that close to winning. I mean, if you're not even close, like okay,
Oh yeah.
who
if you're that, you had it in your hand.
who won 2 years ago? Like who would have put it on Spieth?
Bubba,
Oh, okay. Yeah, well he sucked. So
he did suck.
yeah.
Did you guys see what that one kid so ballsy
I
said
love
to
this
him?
story
It was
so much.
Bubba hit a shot into some trees, and people were moving for his ball, but there was one kid
Yeah, I heard
around
about
there,
this.
and Bubba said, "Hey, can you move? You're not supposed to be here." And he said, "Yeah, your ball's not supposed to be here either."
Oh
Which I
man.
think is just, oh
so
my
good.
gosh, to say that.
Was that on camera, or did he just say that afterwards?
I never saw it. I didn't see it on camera. I think someone just
Yeah.
tweeted it or something like that. I don't know, but
Could be totally made
Yeah.
up, but I hope it's not.
yeah. And then Bubba said back something like, "Hey, I got two green jackets, so you better watch me out."
Yeah.
Like that.
Man.
yeah, he
Bubba.
said, "I don't know about you, but I have 2 green jackets. Thanks for coming."
Burn.
I actually like that. That's so much better.
Gosh.
Sick
I love it.
birds.
I don't know if I like Bubba or not. Actually, I think he's pretty funny. I like him.
I like the guy. I think the thing that still I have issues with is Bernhard Longer's belly putter. And I know, how they changed the rule of you can't anchor it. But he looks, first of all, so close to anchoring it on him. But he also he holds it so he anchors his hand on it, which in my opinion, it's basically the same thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I just
don't
have
have
that.
nearly
I have an issue
Yeah,
with it.
With
They-
belly putters.
The announcers were talking about how, his fist is a couple inches off of his chest, so it's not anchored.
His fist was touching
They
it.
showed it,
His
and
fist
his fist was on his chest,
Yes.
touching his shirt at least,
Yeah.
but it
You saw
definitely
his
looked
shirt go
like,
in.
yeah, it definitely looked like he was touching his chest, and it looked like cheating. I don't know. I don't even care about golf, and that kind of pisses me off.
I mean,
He isn't.
I never thought it was legal a year ago, so it's. I mean, I'm sure it's tough for him to just switch out of it. So it's not like he's
Yeah.
cheating super hard, like he's giving himself a win. But at some point, he'll have to make the change.
He's also 58.
Yeah,
Kinda
he's
needs the help.
kind of setting his
Poor guy.
ways.
Hey, he did great though.
Bernhard.
Did great till Sunday.
How much did Willett win by?
3 strokes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what was Spieth's score? Did he
Got
get
the
second?
two under.
2 under.
He
Yeah.
tied for second.
Okay. So he still got over $1 million.
I think he got 8,800 because he split the pot with.
This is more than 800.
You mean
Or
880,000?
800.
Yeah.
8,000.
He only made $8,800.
Oh, okay.
That's how much the last place guy gets.
he would have paid that much money and more to not have like blown up that bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He would've took-
880,000.
He would have took $0 to win that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't really need it.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, enough Masters talk. Now it is time for our debate of the week. This week's question is, what is the most athletic sport?
Good question, Big D.
This question has been debated way too many times in this apartment, so we thought we'd bring it to the podcast and rehash some of our old arguments and hopefully come to the right answer.
Probably not.
Probably.
Yeah. I think we all have a sport in mind, so I'll start. My sport that I think is most athletic is mixed martial arts. It's a sport I follow the closest, so there's a little bit of bias there, but I actually think that MMA athletes require the most athleticism because of all the different disciplines they have to learn, their conditioning, the skills, the techniques, and just all the different aspects of athleticism that they have to display in a high-pressure situation. That's why I think MMA is. Athletes are very athletic.
That's deep.
Good answer.
Oh, thank you.
Good answer.
Athletes are athletic. What about you, Drake?
I am gonna go with gymnastics actually, which I'm not a gymnast at all. I'm far from it.
Which event?
I think just gymnastics in general.
That's fair, yeah.
All right.
But just doing some more research on it, I've just noticed how much strength it takes, how much hand-eye coordination it takes, even like the mental game of it is incredible, and also balance. I mean, all these things, which actually has to do with hand-eye coordination, but I mean, all those things are so important and so strong in gymnastics that, I mean, I just see that it's just number one in all three of those. And I've tried it, and I can't do anything gymnastics-wise. So just the strength and the hand-eye coordination is just so high up there and so impressive.
For me, I'm going to do the dark horse, hurling.
Hurling?
Hurling, not curling.
What's hurling?
Hurling is an Irish sport, Gaelic sport. It's like a really old sport. And if there's any hurling fans in the audience, I apologize because I know a little bit about it, but not like a crazy amount. So if I mess things up, sorry. But basically, you have a stick, and it's like a rugby field. You're trying to get the ball through a goal, and like you have to run with the ball on the stick. And like I just think that takes so much coordination. The ball travels insanely fast. It's one of the fastest sports, and I don't know. It just seems the most athletic to me.
I'm not surprising anyone by saying that golf is the most athletic sport. This is heavily dependent on the definition of athleticism that I use, which is the only working and accurate definition of athleticism, which I'm sure we'll be getting into in just a few seconds. But I'm looking forward to hearing Jared's answer.
Thanks, Jacob. Very kind. My answer is ice hockey.
No way! That is my second choice.
Wow. See, there you go. We almost agree on something.
Golf is definitely not Jared's second choice.
Yeah, golf is my 51st choice. Yeah, ice hockey. It takes so much athleticism. It takes like every part of athleticism to play ice hockey. It takes speed, strength, agility, coordination, everything we've mentioned already, all in one. You're on skates. Like it's just tough. So that's my nutshell answer. Ice hockey.
Solid answers, mostly.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know.
We have two losers already.
You cut out a little bit. Why don't you say your answer?
Just kidding.
Hurling, for the reason that it's known as like one of the fastest sports. You have a ball and a stick, and it's a flat stick.
Oh, ball.
You can only carry the ball for 4 steps, and then after that you have to balance the ball on the stick and run with it kind of flat out. So you're running with a ball on a stick. Like that's pretty hard. And then you're allowed to tackle people, so you can just get lit up in the game as long as you have 1 foot on the ground. You can hit the ball off the ground, which is essentially golf. It's just you line it up while running.
That's not essentially
It's like golf while running, and then
That's not true at all. Actually.
yeah, I mean it's just insane watching it. It's really fun. I think it's most athletic.
Joe, by the way, when did you learn about the sport?
When I was studying abroad in Ireland.
Sure.
Okay.
When you
Just making sure.
Googled it 10 minutes ago?
No, I watched it on TV. I watched Kilkenny take on I forget Tipperary in the championship. It was pretty sick.
His name sounds pretty made
Don't
up.
question my knowledge of Irish sports.
So, Jacob, what aspects, your perfect definition of athleticism that you mentioned earlier,
Oh, man.
what is that
boy.
definition, and how does that prove golf as the most athletic sport?
Thank you for asking.
Oh, yes.
You're welcome.
I've been thinking about how I want to explain this, and I think I'll just start with the definition and then go through my reasoning. Athleticism is the act of pushing the physical abilities of the human body in a competition setting. That is what athleticism is. Does anyone have any immediate objections to this?
I do.
Wait, I just want to clarify. Did you say physical human body?
Yes, pushing the physical abilities of the
Okay.
human body in a competition setting.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't sound too bad, but my problem with it is that I don't know why you're making up your own definition. There's literally a dictionary definition of athleticism, and what you said is not it.
Okay, you want to read that to me, Jared?
Yeah, sure. The physical qualities that are characteristic of athletes, such as strength, fitness, and agility.
Okay, the problem with that is that it defies reality.
Wait,
Because
let me get this
there's
straight.
a lot of
Let me get this straight real quick.
What do you mean?
The
What does define
problem
reality?
with the dictionary definition of athleticism is that it doesn't properly define athleticism.
well, you cut out a little bit there, but I'm surprised that you have so much faith in Merriam-Webster.
Great guy.
Yeah,
I don't
love
see the
Merriam.
dictionary as set in stone. By that definition, golfers are not athletes.
Well, there we go.
He's out. I guess
Thanks
he's
for
out.
stopping by, Jacob. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. And so we obviously know that my latter statement is not true. We know that people who play professional golf are athletes. The greatest golfers, arguably being some of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen. So we probably shouldn't be taking the dictionary definition quite so seriously. I decided to look at this, try to analyze, maybe see a little bit, if there could be a little bit of a better definition than what people might think as either a gut reaction or just by checking some dictionary. So here's how I went about it. There's two kind of avenues that you can take, I think, to get to this definition. One, starting from observation, and two, kind of from a hypothetical realm. So first, kind of ask myself if it's possible to observe athleticism. So would you guys agree that you know athleticism when you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I would.
Yeah,
Right.
I would know athleticism.
So, I think there's two main reasons, two kind of aspects we see in athleticism, in one play in football, you could say, oh man, that is athleticism. We're seeing it right now. There's two things going on right there. I think one, kind of to a smaller degree than my second point, is that it's this payoff. You're seeing what was obviously thousands of hours of work that these professionals or not professionals have put in to their sport, And it feels good to see people's work come to fruition in the same way that you would see, like, a concert pianist perform some crazy piece. It blows your mind sometimes to think of how much work that took. The second aspect, which is more important.
Are athletic?
Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
You think pianists are athletic?
That's not what I said. I tried to just give you a similar phenomenon that you could relate
answer
to.
the question.
The second part of this is more important. It's kind of this idea that you see a professional athlete do something particularly athletic, and you're left with this feeling of, I can't do that. That is the defining reaction to athleticism. Would you agree with that?
I mean, if you're not athletic.
I think what you're saying is that anytime I watch any professional sport ever, I have that response. It doesn't matter if I watch the NBA and Steph Curry makes an amazing shot, or if I watch football and somebody, does an amazing spin move, or I watch gymnastics, or I watch hurling.
Yeah, Jacob,
You watch hurling.
what I'm getting
hurling,
from
Joe?
your argument so far is that you have to establish that, like, golf is even a sport, or, like, it's even athletic at all. You haven't even attempted to, like, make it the most athletic sport yet. I feel like if you have to start by establishing golfers actually are athletes, then I don't know. That's kind of telling.
I don't know how you got that out of even just the beginning. I've just maybe gone through a third of my full explanation here.
Jacob, the main points I just got from what you just said was a lot about how practice can increase your athleticism, which I don't necessarily agree with.
That's a misunderstanding. That's a misunderstanding. I'm just trying to, since we all basically agreed that we can observe athleticism, we disagree on our definition, but we all know it when we see it. I'm just trying to start from a basis here and then work through kind of a progression of how we process it. I'm saying one reaction to athleticism is just contemplating how long it must have taken for them to get to that level.
But
okay,
I don't really see it that way. When I think of athleticism, usually I think of someone like as a natural athlete, not athleticism that they acquired through hours of practice, but like even in a UFC fight situation, the announcers are all like, "Wow, that guy is an athlete." Not that he learned all the techniques and he's so good at the technique of jiu-jitsu or whatever, but that he's athletic because he can do things with his body that normal people can't, like in the moment with fast reflexes. It's all athleticism is really just like, it can be enhanced with training, but athleticism is like a natural thing, and I don't think that's what you're saying, but that's just how I view it.
Jacob, I used to be on the same golf train as you. Even last year, I thought the same thing. But I thought David made up a good point. Like, one of the points that I think is like one of the higher points as to why golf isn't, is that I think that the length of time it takes for someone to be a professional in golf is actually a reason why it's not athletic, in the sense that, technique. I mean, there's so much technique that is involved for golf, and like there's so many different aspects to it that make it so challenging, and a lot of that is athleticism. But I think there's only a certain point that athleticism can take you in golf. So, for example, I've been playing golf for many years, but I think someone could play a lot for a year or two and catch up to me pretty quickly, just because there's only a certain amount that my athleticism has taken me, and like the rest of it is just learning that that technique that's past the sense of athleticism. Whereas something like, I don't know, like basketball, I can learn the technique and have just as well of a technique as, I don't know, someone as Steph Curry. That's obviously crazy, but something like that. But I just can't be as good as him, just because I don't have the athleticism he has, the strength or the hand-eye coordination or any of that stuff that he has. And I think that's one of the main reasons why golf just isn't the most athletic sport.
That's actually almost precisely the reason why I'm making my case. You're not at odds with my definition, really, or my explanation for why golf is probably the most athletic sport. Because my definition of athleticism, it's not comparative, really, to like kind of a one-on-one scale, the way you describe with golf. Whether or not someone is better than you at golf after just practicing for 2 years it's not negating the fact that they're like actually pushing physical abilities of the human body.
Right, but the problem is like golfers are pushing physical abilities in like such a specific way when compared to other sports. So in hockey, for example, people, which is of course the most athletic sport, like, you know, hockey players push their bodies in getting like faster and more agile and stronger and tougher and stuff like that. And I don't know, more coordinated with a puck and a stick, not to be confused with just a ball and a stick like hurling or whatever gym sport is.
Whatever your made-up sport is.
Yeah.
Carrying a round ball on a flat stick.
Okay, yeah, it's tough, whatever.
That does sound hard. Oh, yeah.
We're all gonna go out after this and take sticks, and I want you to run with balls on sticks and see how far you get.
Okay, all right, fine, whatever. Anyway, here's the point.
Easy.
Easy. Yeah, golfers only perfect like one very specific movement, which is the golf swing, and I'll give you that it has like a lot of variations, but it's basically all just one movement.
I refute that.
Other sports have to master so many different qualities of athleticism.
Okay, I'll start with that first thing you said. When you say that the golf swing is just one motion, I think that's a little naive. And here's why. The variations in the golf swing are so important, and the differences they make between two different golf swings are so huge that to boil them down to one, to basically one motion, is a gross oversimplification.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you this. What other qualities of athleticism does golf have besides mastering, I'll give you this, the extreme coordination it takes to be a professional golfer? What other qualities of athleticism?
Really only to a small extent is it... brute strength is only a small part of it.
Yeah, all right, agreed. Very small.
Maybe flexibility, a slightly larger part of it, but I just think that golf exhibits so much control of the human body that even then it outweighs the athleticism exhibited in other sports.
Ah, yeah, see, now we're getting down to it. You're saying that basically, so strength is negligible, flexibility is like almost negligible. It's just the coordination of the swing, which is crazy impressive and hard to do. But this is like, I guess, the root of our disagreement. You think that the coordination of the golf swing in and of itself is more athletic than all of the qualities of athleticism displayed in hockey or MMA or maybe not hurling, but gymnastics.
Yeah, it's harder.
I appreciate hurling jump.
It's different for hockey. Here's hockey was the close second, so I can't really like draw as big of a distinction. The image I kept having in my head, I thought you were going to say basketball, Jared. So I had some stuff kind of outlined to draw parallels between those two. But here's a factor that I'm hoping might explain a little bit more. I chose golf because pretty much none of it is natural. In a sport like basketball or baseball, specifically baseball, people draw a lot of like false parallels between the baseball swing and the golf swing. really in just comparing the sports in a lot of different ways. But these brute strength athletic sports, like your football, basketball, and baseball, kind of, they're based a lot on reflexes, enhancing natural reactions. Golf is none of that. So if you can kind of imagine like baseline human abilities, and just imagine the most average person you can.
I choose Joe.
Let's use Joe for example. And Joe's never played a sport before. And
Nope.
you play him some videos of someone shooting a basketball, shooting some free throws. He's going to be able to, even if he's never touched a basketball before, after about an hour, he will be able to make a free throw. He will be able to make at least one free throw.
He's also, after an hour, going to be able to hit a drive.
That is... I almost cussed. That is not true.
I've seen it happen.
I mean, my mom
here's the
took a couple lessons.
Here's the difference. He can literally perform a task that the highest level basketball players only do... They can only get it right 90% of it, Jared.
What are you talking about?
A free throw.
Oh, not even 90.
Right. You can't say someone who picked up a golf club for just an hour could even get any sort of close to hitting a driver like Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, whoever you want to pick.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's true,
a good
but
point.
that's not what I was saying. I was saying hit the ball just like you could shoot a free throw. Shooting a free throw is only like 1% of the game of basketball.
Exactly.
Hitting a drive is a fourth of the game of golf or whatever.
Right. I think that's like a big part of it because there are so many different things in a sport like basketball, or for in my case something like gymnastics, that make it so much more athletic just because you're not looking at just one thing like a free throw. Which sure, it's not as it's a lot easier to get down than a golf swing, but
Of course.
by far, and that's, nobody's arguing that it's not. But the thing is that there's more to it. And so, like, for example, for my case, for gymnastics, here's a list of things that are, like, a list of things that have been proven to be the top in sports of that, the difficulty level for gymnastics puts it top and, like, high up there, are balance, rotation, spatial awareness. They have to have 9 times their body weight strength, like, professional level.
What?
Yep.
What does that mean?
Like, think about, like, when you're doing...
Like, you can do a pull-up having a lot more times your weight.
Right.
Having
They can have 9
having
times
1,000 pounds strapped to your body, they can do a pull-up?
Yes.
There's no way.
No way.
There's no
We're not
way.
saying that. We're saying, like...
Okay.
Like, we're not saying that. No. That's a different thing. But,
You
okay.
do a pull the twice about
But there's also things like...
Having a bear on your back.
Yes. But there's skill and routine timing to 6,000ths of a second, short distance sprint speed of 16 plus miles per hour for women and 20 plus mile per hour for men.
So you're just saying there's a lot more that you have to master.
There's so many different things, and they're so high up there that make it just so athletic, in my opinion.
And let's go back to your point, Jacob, about taking someone who's not athletic at all, or, I mean, not...
No, that's not what I said.
Have never played a sport.
Taking someone who's never played a sport, I guess, is what you said.
Operating off of baseline human ability.
Okay, I've definitely played pickup with people like that, and like pickup basketball, and like it's ugly, like it is just super ugly, and they're by no means like an athlete in that sport at that time. And if you take someone on the golf course, I think the same thing applies. And if you let them hit drives for an hour, eventually they're going to hit like at least a decent drive. It might go, 150 yards, but it'll hopefully be down the middle after an hour.
And by that principle, it is not a decent
Jacob,
drive.
You take the average person, and you give them like any amount of time to get good at golf, to hit a good drive, or to do something like I don't know, dunk over like 2 people. The average person is going to have a way better chance of like learning how to hit a good drive than learning to catch an alley-oop or something, you know?
Do you really want to do you want to be using dunking over 2 people as kind of the pinnacle of athleticism in
It's not the pinnacle, but
in
it's definitely a
basketball?
very athletic move.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, not necessarily, but like what I'm saying is the ability to jump like incredibly high, the ability to accelerate and stop quickly, strength, and also just insane coordination are all like necessary components of being a professional basketball player. And in golf, the only component that is there that isn't negligible is the coordination of the extremely specific golf swing.
Right. We're not disagreeing there.
Okay. Oh, right. We've discussed this. You just think that the golf swing alone is way more is more athletic than the sum of all the athletic qualities that hockey or basketball or gymnastics
Or
MMA
hurling
requires.
Joe, I want to hear more about hurling.
Yeah, I do too.
What are
What
some
is
of
that?
the events or whatever?
It's a
Oh,
sport.
It's literally the holding the ball on your stick
No,
thing?
it's a sport. It's like 2 teams going at each other. It's a team sport. There's
Okay.
15 players on each team, I think, and you have like a goalkeeper. It's like, okay, picture like soccer
Quidditch.
or rugby if you want to picture that, or football. whatever you
Lacrosse
want to
would be
picture.
probably a better.
Yeah, lacrosse is a good.
Yeah,
one.
lacrosse is a great example. Picture lacrosse, but instead of a net, you just have a flat stick, and like you're not catching the ball.
It's just lacrosse, but it's just harder to catch the ball.
No, okay, you catch the ball barehanded. It's coming at like 100 miles an hour, and you catch it.
Sounds like a lot of broken hands.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible sport to play. It sounds like
It sounds like a terrible
And people are
sport to play.
swinging sticks at whatever speed you swing a baseball bat, and you run the risk of getting hit by that, and you can get tackled. So like, if you're talking toughness,
So like it's
Definitely
the riskiest sport of all.
It's definitely a sport I will never play.
you're running with a ball
So it's kind of like
on a stick.
rugby.
You flip the ball up, and you have to hit it while running with like a baseball swing. It's a difficult thing to do.
Takes a lot of
and you have to do it
coordination.
accurately. You're not just like hitting it blindly downfield. You don't get points for hitting it downfield. You're hitting it through uprights, basically a field goal. Except unlike football, you don't have 3 seconds to line up your kick and then kick it. You're just swinging with people running at you trying to tackle you.
Do you only score through those?
Yeah, if you get it through the upper uprights, it's like a point, and if you get it, it's like a low goal, like basically. a
Okay, so
soccer
there wasn't
goal.
that net did matter
Yeah,
because there was a
yeah,
net in that
yeah,
video you showed me.
Yeah, so that's worth like 3 points, I think. But
If
there's
you
a
catch,
goalkeeper.
catch the snitch, you win, right?
Yeah.
I'm picturing just
All
like
right, well-
3 goals next to each other.
Clearly, none of you are on board with
Magic
hurling.
doesn't count, Joe. You don't
Partially
use
because none of you know what hurling is. That's fine. But I do have some points about the athleticism thing. So, like, to me, there's two important, like, things I want to posit to you guys, I guess. One is that athleticism to me means that you're good at athletics, and so athletics involves, all the different sports. So athleticism is the ability to transfer from one sport to another, I think.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
a basketball,
What is a sport?
something that involves strength and skill, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, that's not.
Well,
You put him on the spot. You put him on the spot.
Okay, what do you want?
yeah, too much on the
What do you want to be?
I think we all know what a sport
What do you want? What do you want to be the definition of athletics? Of sports?
Me?
Yeah,
Of sports or athletics?
either one. Just give me a definition of athletics.
Okay, I've already given you the definition of athleticism.
No, athletics.
Okay, so they're both nouns. They're both a noun form of the same root. Like, they're the same definition.
Athletics and athleticism don't have the same definition. Athletics is like a group of sports. Athleticism is a characteristic of a person.
I have the definition for sport up. It's an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment.
Good.
Okay,
Good.
so-
Dictionary
so-
definition. That's what we need to be using.
That's good. So exertion of
They compete each other for what?
For entertainment.
yeah. So entertainment aside, like athletics should be the exertion of strength or skill against an opponent. It's got to be competition, I suppose, is important. But my point is that like a person who displays athleticism should be able to exhibit athleticism in different sports. And like, I think if you take a basketball player, you could move them into football, you could move them into hockey. And I think if you take a golfer, you couldn't necessarily always move them into another sport.
Okay, that's interesting that you say that. It's through that same reasoning that I still got to my original definition of athleticism. Because I think if you imagine like this hypothetical best athlete, but kind of give it the bare bones attributes. Okay? Does that make sense?
I don't follow.
So, a gymnast.
Imagine the best athlete
Like it's
by
a
your
cat
definition. So imagine the best athlete by your own definition, but the most bare bones version of that. Don't make any assumptions on how their strength could carry over in different ways, and tell me if they're good at golf.
I don't know. That's the weird thing about golf is that, like, I'll give you that golf is one of the hardest sports, but I think it's because, like, it's what Drake said earlier. Athleticism only gets you so far in golf. So, I don't know. It carries over.
If you're operating from a different definition.
And that's,
I think our central assumption was, you guys may have lied to me. Do you actually think that we observe athleticism, or do you think we operate from this dictionary definition and then are applying it wherever we see it?
Well, I, for one, didn't even know the dictionary definition and didn't look it up, so I don't think that's true. But I think that athleticism is void of technique. And since golf is pretty much all technique and not any of the other aspects of athleticism that we've been talking about, that's why I don't think it's a very athletic sport, while other sports athletes are much more athletic. Not considering the techniques of their sports, like shooting a basketball or throwing a spinning back kick or, I don't know, a crazy flip in gymnastics or whatever. I think that athleticism is void of technique, and that's why I don't think golf is very athletic.
Okay. So is quickness, would you say, an aspect of athleticism?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, quickness.
Quickness, if you're saying like reflexes, agility, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have? I mean, what are your limits on, like, I don't know? Are you operating from like this, from saying that like athleticism is a collection of like strength, speed, etc., applied to these different like muscle groups? I'm basically saying, David, by your definition, it sounds like esports are a pretty viable sport. I said it sounds like, from where you're coming from, esports are pretty viable as being athletic.
Esports.
Oh, esports.
There's zero technique involved.
yeah.
But there's no physical, like,
In video games, you
output
mean?
involved either.
Oh, sure. It's extremely quick. Reflexes have to be very tight.
But it still lacks all those other things we're talking about.
There's
Okay,
in-game
but would you
technique.
argue that esports are more athletic than golf then?
No.
No, I wouldn't. I think.
Okay, so we're operating from this presumption that we can see athleticism, right? We understand it through our experiences. Like, we know golf is an athletic sport.
We know that there are qualities of athleticism that golf requires, but that, like, we also know that there are, like, way more qualities of athleticism that other sports require. And I think we've gotten back to the same thing a few times, that, like, you just think that the coordination adds up more than the sum of all the other qualities, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I think it's a bold claim.
That's just way
I think
too
it's
bold a
talk for a
claim.
one-eyed fat man.
Any concluding statements?
Let's give, Jacob, what are your concluding statements?
Short.
I don't have anything written down.
That's all right.
It's just that my impression is you guys haven't really thought it through. because I think if you... first of all, I think that there's kind of a social idea of what athleticism is, which I was afraid we were going to encounter today. I was afraid some of you were going to be like, oh no, Super Smash Brothers is not athletic at all, and then after a few questions would have to surrender it to some sort of esports bigotry. But
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
yeah,
I think that there are like aspects of athleticism in almost every activity. So like everything and everybody is athletic to a certain degree, but the question is not like, is one thing athletic at all? Like, I think everything has some qualities. The question is, what is the most athletic? Like, yeah, esports, it has some qualities of athleticism, like reflexes and hand-eye coordination. I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion that those just don't add up to all of the other things you have to master, all the other aspects of athleticism in other sports. You know?
yeah, I think that is a part that I will disagree with you on and be okay with it. Because there's no way we could ever really sit down and add it all up.
True.
I guess if I had to make one closing statement, first of all, I'm surprised at how much faith everyone's putting in the dictionary definition of athleticism.
You mean in the actual definition of
You're
athleticism?
putting a lot of faith in your definition. What's the
I
difference?
didn't use that definition.
I know, no one gave me a better definition than my own.
Aside
Because-
from the actual definition?
Yeah, that confuses me a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we established that the dictionary definition was wildly insufficient. And that it did not allow for control of the human body as being an athletic quality. So,
I mean, it didn't give an
maybe
exhaustive list. That's for sure. But like, I also don't think it limited the list to the three qualities that it gave.
No, it didn't mention it, so it excluded it. It
I
was
don't
an
know if that's
insufficient
true.
definition. It did not match up with how we all collectively observe athleticism.
I believe it said such as.
Yeah, it said such as, and then it gave agility, strength, and I don't know.
Else.
It
But
did not say only blank, blank, blank.
Yeah,
Well, I certainly don't want to get into an argument about what we think the original authors of the dictionary had in mind when they were defining athleticism. I thought we might be able to explore that on our own.
Either do I.
dude, me and Miriam, whatever.
All right,
we go
well,
way back.
Make your final statement.
He made enough final statements.
That's it. My final statement is I gave a better definition of athleticism than the dictionary did, and no one proved me wrong.
My final statement is the other three people sitting in this room with me right now disagree with you and agree with me, so I trust in the intellects of us over one person. I appreciate your passion for your point of view, but I'm just going to have to agree to disagree with you.
Drake.
All right, anyone else?
I mean, my final statement is just, I think when it comes to athleticism, it comes down to the fact that you have to look at more than just one aspect, no matter how important of an aspect and how impressive an aspect that is. You have to look at all the different variations that are under athleticism, and you have to look at more just raw talent than just technique as well. And I think those are two important things that come into athleticism that prove gymnastics as something that's more athletic, and golf is something that's not as athletic.
For me, yeah, quick. Skill doesn't equal athleticism. Pushing the body equals athleticism, I think. And I think that, in golf, like, I think age has to do with it. So, like, you look at really old people playing golf, you can't have really old people playing competitive levels of other professional sports because they can't push their body. And I think in golf, it's all skill and not pushing your body as much. And hurling, got all those things. So even if no one agrees with me.
Okay, Joe. The argument for hockey is that even if we were going to go with Jacob's definition of athleticism, golf still is not like the sum of coordination is not greater than the sum of everything else, and I think hockey requires more qualities of athleticism that we could observe and all agree on are athletic than any of the other sports.
All right. Thanks, Jacob, for Skyping in all the way from London.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
Drake, thank you for being here as our
For
guest.
having me. It was fun.
You can comment what sport you think is most athletic on our SoundCloud page, which is soundcloud.com/Hostel Discourse, no space. Or watch the video version and comment there at youtube.com/TheNoobReaction. Next week, we will also be discussing an interesting topic with our guest Noah Roberts, so stay tuned for that, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening.
So long. Go Stars.
Watch hurling on YouTube.